strength, strength like no other.
Well, a pleasant good morning to you, listeners and viewers, and welcome to the CCG Hour. And it is just great that you can be with us. Time is going so quickly in the year. Can you imagine? We are already in the month of July. And some people may have thought, oh my goodness, well, the year just started. Well, we are about to say, well, the year about to end. It's been that fast. And with all that is happening around us, I really want to encourage you to really, seek God. Take care of yourself. Spend time with family. Because hear what? You just don't know what can happen. By the time you finish view this program, you just don't know what will happen next, Really, really, this is not a time for us to just be doing what we want, when we feel like, just how we feel like, but really put a whole lot of thought into your life. And I'm sure that the program we are going to do this morning is going to assist you in being able to do that. Even if it directly affects women in particular, based on what we are going to do, but it does affect the whole family, and especially the men that love the women. We are continuing from last month where we left off. We're talking about menopause, and I'm talking with Ann Hopkins from the Patient Kidney Foundation. We had been, those of you who usually catch the program, you would have realized that we more or less tied up all that we needed to with kidney disease and so forth. And we began to talk about other things as it relates to health, because we really, really recognize that there are some aspects of our health that we do not pay too much attention to, and partly because many people just don't have the kind of information. So we thought, here at the CCG Hour, how about if we bring that information to you? So, Anne, good morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Right, and it's a pleasure again to just have you. Well, I mean, right now you are permanent fixture to the program. So, and I'm really, really grateful for the time that you have been, giving us on this program. It really, and I know it has really been good for, a lot of individuals. And so thank you very much for coming. Well, without any ado, because we have a lot to cover. I don't know how much we'll get, just like last month. I don't know how much we'll get to cover this month.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter. We're continuing.
We continue.
Just like
it's
we
a
did
continuation until we stop.
Until we stop. Exactly.
Yes.
Kind of just like menopause. Until we stop.
Until we stop, yes, definitely.
So we're looking at menopause. Last month we looked at what is menopause, and we looked at the historical perspective of it. This month, it would be great if we can look at the phases, because I know you mentioned the phases briefly last year.
Yes,
and then we can possibly, hopefully, begin to look at the symptoms, or at least the types, whichever one we have the time for. So go right ahead.
Oh, well, because we did menopause, and it's very important that we tell people about the stages, because most people doesn't realize menopause have 3 stages. You have the perimenopause, which is that could happen 3 to 5 years before menopause. And in that phase, you may have signs and symptoms, but in that phase, it's not as heavy and it's not as frequent. It's a light. You may have, I'm going to go through it in a moment, what are the type of signs and symptoms you can have. And those I mentioned in the premenstrual period, premenopause period, it could be light, it could be not frequent, infrequently. And as we go on, now you have menopause. And menopause is 12, you have to stop seeing your period 12 consecutive months.
Yeah.
If you see a period now and you see a period 2 months again, you see a period in every month, you're still in perimenopausal stage. Once your period stops for 12 months, you know that definitely you
are in menopause.
And in the pre-menopausal stage, you can get pregnant. Because you're still menstruating.
So
you're still having ovulation.
Right.
It may skip every month or every 2 months, but ovulation occurs. This is why you're having a period.
So if you skipped so let's say you had your period in January, and you skipped let's say for about 3 months, during the time that it is doing the skipping, you can get pregnant during that time, or
During that month, you ovulating.
you
You may not
still-
ovulate for 2 months, but the third month you are ovulating. If you have sex, it's a possibility. You can get pregnant because you have the egg.
Ah.
You have the egg and you have sex. It's going to attach itself to the sperm, and you can get pregnant. Most people I know, some people get period. They don't have the period this month. They don't have it, and they
yeah.
don't even know they're pregnant. It's when they go to the doctor. The doctor.
Yeah, because they're, and of course they're thinking again, well, I'm in menopause, quote unquote, because
Yes.
my period stopped and I'm at a
Yes.
certain age.
Yes.
I'm in menopause now, so I'm free to go through.
But it's
Oh,
not.
you're not
Another
free.
thing that is a misconception for young ladies, they don't have the period yet, and they think, well, okay, I'm safe, I don't have no period. But you could get pregnant before you see a period.
Yes, that one I know.
Definitely. So we have to allow people that too. But you could get pregnant in the perimenal stage. And this is where we have chromosome sometime defect. We have, how you call these children, Down syndrome.
Oh, really? Why, though?
Because the egg is old, you know.
You see, we don't want to talk about old, but
Yeah, the egg is mature, it's old, have years.
Right.
And they are not as strong as
Oh, my.
when you were younger. So that time you can have a child
Certain-
born with a disability.
Really?
Yes? Chromosome disability, I must say, not actual other disability.
Right. So
Yes.
because you hear, I mean, in our society, and people say so many things. Of course, I believe that a lot of things that we say are mixed. You have some very, well, some not really, really factual. Some you can pull out a little piece of fact somewhere in between. But you would hear people saying things like, well, I think I used the term last month, a menopause child.
Yes,
So
yes.
so it's not really a menopause child. It's the perimenopausal stage that
That's
we're talking
right.
about.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
interesting.
Yes. Because once you are menopause 12 months consecutive.
That's the end of that.
That's
But
the end of that.
what happened to not Elizabeth? Well, Elizabeth too, and of course Sarah. Or maybe we shouldn't interfere.
Who is Elizabeth?
Or those in the Bible. I mean.
Oh, no. And
Clearly that
Sarah
had to be.
was God's
That had to
special
be.
wishes. Because if God had let her have a child during her menstrual period, it was
Of course,
not
it would
going
not have
to
been
be a
as amazing.
miracle.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
going to amazing. That means God could do anything.
Correct.
He
I
could
mean,
do
definitely.
anything.
Because, I mean, they were
and
both dry.
There was both, yes, out of it. No, but you have to remember that when Sarah died, Abraham married Keturah.
I know, right?
And had 6 children after Sarah died.
Please don't remind me. I usually watch, and it comes back to what we were talking about last year. Oh gosh, we leave the topic. Because I'm like, what's wrong with Abraham? But clearly
That's right.
nothing was wrong
Nothing
with
was wrong with
Abraham.
them. God said that you're going to have a child that going to be your seed.
Yeah, the promise,
And from
yeah.
that promise, Jesus Christ is going to come.
Correct.
So therefore, he wants him to realize that, okay, I'm not going to give you a child when Sarah could have period. That's not going to be the promised child.
No.
I'm going to give you a child when Sarah is, how much old she was?
My God, she was
90 years
90.
old or so. He was 90, I think he was
He was
90.
99. Yeah, he was a
she
little
was,
more. Yeah, old.
she didn't have any period anymore. But, and then they still have sex?
I know, right? So that's the point. Well,
Yes.
Anyway, could come back to what we started to
Yes.
talk about last month. But anyhow, let's
Yeah.
go with the phases. So we in
we
perimenopause.
we have menopause has 3 phases. We said one is the perimenopause, and we say B type 2B is menopause, and we talk about 12 consecutive months. And the postmenopause is when your symptoms began to generally subside, and it's between 26 and 36 months after your last period. But it has been noted also in other studies that your flashes or your signs and symptoms subsides a little, but they do not really disappear.
Really?
For years, up to years, people still saying, oh, a hot flash is 90 years old. It has been found that the symptoms don't that really just go away, 36 months, bro. It gets lesser and less infrequent, but it does not really stop.
Okay. So, and of course, with the whole estrogen situation, because that is what is really causing
Yes,
that.
yes.
Is it that obviously after menopause and postmenopause, that whole that whole time there, the estrogen continues. Is it that it just you don't have estrogen at all, or is it the
Decreases.
amount? It just
Decreases.
So will it continue to decrease?
Continue to decrease, continue. And the more it decrease, say you have 100%, and it keep decreasing 90%, 50%, you still have a little at the end of it all, but it's so minute, it really doesn't have any effect that it should have. The effect that its function has dwindled.
Okay.
As when you have a bucket of water,
Yeah.
you could wet all my plants. When you have a little bit of water, you could
Of
only wet
course.
what plants. Yeah? Yes. Okay? Falling hormones and irregular period are a natural part of premenopausal and signal the end of a woman's fertility. Okay, it's coming to an end. Estrogen and progesterone roles in premenopausal phase. There are two hormones that are primarily responsible for regulating your menstrual cycle. The two hormones are estrogen and progesterone. When estrogen falls, progesterone rises. And that estrogen role is to thicken the uterine lining prior to ovulation. Therefore, when estrogen level become imbalanced, the lining of the uterus began to shed irregularly, resulting in light or heavy bleeding and spotting. You do have spotting also in the perimenopause stage. Okay? And this causes spotting and irregular period. So when your estrogen falls and your progesterone kicks in, that gives you irregular periods.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And when I talk about ovulation, here, I mean ovulation is what happens when an egg or ovum, the little egg is called an ovum, is released from the ovaries, because all the eggs are in the ovaries. After ovulation, the egg then travels to the uterus via the fallopian tube.
Yes.
If the sperm meet with the egg at that time, conception takes place.
Of course.
Okay? So once you let the egg go, if it's 3 months, 4 months after, and that eggs come out, and you have sex 14 days or 12 days, because some people ovulate different times.
Exactly.
And that sperm meet that egg. There could be 1,000 sperm. As I told you, all the sperm are released. There could be 1,000 sperm. That one strong sperm, one, gets through. Okay? Now, there are two types of menopause. As we speak before, early menopause, and we have a natural menopause, 45 to 50. In the early menopause, what could happen? You can have surgical removal of your ovaries. You can have chemotherapy. You can have radiation. Environmental factor, you're working in a lead plant. You're working in a paint factory.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Environmental factor can decrease your estrogen level, can damage your ovaries,
Okay.
and that could cause early
Menopause. But then
and
if-
genetic factor also, yes.
But if it is that someone is working, someone is working in an environment where something, well, as a result, if it is that they prove that it is the job that was able to possibly, bring on the early, early menopause, and maybe that individual has had, I don't know, maybe really adverse effects, can they sue?
There has been a lot of cases
Okay.
that I heard of, I don't know of, that they found that all this paint and radiation through the paint and other jobs has caused a decrease in estrogen. So therefore there is case. But I don't think I have never heard them win that case. I have never prolonged it to see what happened. But it is said that in the environment you work with paint and lead and other chemical poison can cause, because it gets into the system, damage it can get cancer. So if it can cause cancer,
Then
why cannot it damage the ovaries?
Definitely.
Okay, and genetic factor.
Right. So we spoke about the genetic factors last month briefly.
Briefly.
Like someone being born with.
No, there's a different genetic factor.
Okay.
We speak about the genetic factor where the person doesn't born have the chromosome, the MAC chromosome, and therefore, we're speaking about genetic here that my mother start having a menstrual cycle by 11, 10, and by 35 she stopped.
Right. Okay. Okay.
So my child, I followed my mother. By 35, 40, I know my mother didn't have a menstrual period anymore. And the same thing happened to me.
Right.
So definitely it's a fact of genetic.
Yeah. Okay. Understand.
And maybe I stopped too quickly. That's why I didn't have no children. So it's a fact. Maybe at 35, premenopausal. You understand? Early. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay?
Interesting. Okay.
Okay, and what we have called natural menopause, that's what we're going to deal with mostly, natural menopause.
Right.
Okay? Now we're going to deal with symptoms of menopause. We said already that menopause occurs 12 months consecutively after your last period.
Yeah.
So now we're going to deal with the signs and symptoms of menopause. And we're going to say why those happen.
Okay.
Okay? We have irregular periods. Vaginal discharge and atrophy. By atrophy, I mean it's not dead, but it's shrinkled up. You know, you have a pear, right? Not even a pear because they're too juicy. You have apricots, right? A grapes. And you leave it for a long time. It's shrinkled up. Okay? Isn't it? So therefore, your vagina passage shrinkled up. It shrinks. It shrinks. It shrivels up then. It shrivels up.
Okay.
Okay?
So wait. So the vaginal dryness and the, you say, atrophy?
Atrophy.
Atrophy.
Yes.
So the atrophy is, so it just is the same estrogen that is
Locking of
controlling.
Locking of estrogen. The same estrogen that controls it. Because
So does it
estrogen gives
look
elasticity. The estrogen give it
Elasticity.
That's why it can
Okay.
open when you have sex and pliable and okay. But when you don't have that. When I went to the doctor, my gynecologist said, you know, your vagina is atrophied. I know it is because of my age, definitely.
Okay. Right.
You understand? Right. Because I don't have the hormones
To
since
make
35 years, 40 years, menopause. So what do I expect? Really?
Right.
So once you know the signs and symptoms and you are versed and you're knowledgeable, you are able to die, if to deal with it. If I go to say, your vagina atrophy, my God, she'd give me a death sentence. You understand?
Yeah, well, that is what you would feel if you wasn't expecting it.
That's right. And if he doesn't know the signs and symptoms, that's why education is so important. And when you go to the doctor and they tell you words you don't understand, please ask because you go home terrified. Oh, the doctor said I'm atrophied, I'm atrophied, I'm atrophied. You know. I was going to go home in panic. Okay? So.
Okay. So it's
Okay.
shriveled up.
Yes.
Yeah. It just, there are some words that, you know, make the thing
Yes, shriveled
settle,
up,
you know,
shriveled
so
up.
it's
That's
shriveled
why
up.
I give the...
And every woman at some, well, once you
Yes,
live long
once you-
enough,
yes.
your vagina is going to
shrivel up.
shrivel up.
This is why I give the example of the prunes. And you know, when you leave a prunes out for some time, you come back, it's dried up and it's all, yes? Okay.
Shriveled up. Okay.
You have hot flashes, chills, night sweats.
Hold on. Let's separate them, if you don't mind. There's something I need to go back to just for clarity.
Yes.
In the irregular periods, right?
Yes.
Because we're looking
That's
at
perimenopause.
that's what I was just wondering.
Yes,
because,
the
because in the
perimenopause.
menopause, it stopped
Yes,
completely, so we
yes.
can't have it irregular again.
Yes.
So
So
irregular
we
would
talk-
have been
the
back in the
perimenopause.
Okay, very well,
As
no
we-
problem.
okay.
Great.
All right. Night
So 1 minute
sweats.
you're hot, and then the next minute you're
you
cold.
yes.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. Chills, and sometimes you know. And that brings a lot of problem in the home with the husband.
Clearly.
Because
But the
clearly.
shriveling up, I think, would bring a whole lot of problems to the husband too.
Yeah, because he cannot go in as. But also, if he's your age, he's shriveling too, because he does not erection, his libido, his erection goes down too, you know.
Okay, so both of you in a shriveling
Yes,
stage.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Okay.
So-
Some men are very, very giantly,
yeah.
viral, giantly. But some men, again, they don't take care of themselves. I mean, if the man eat properly and exercise and do the right thing, no smoking, no drinking, he'll be active for God
Very
knows
long.
when.
Okay.
But if you want to drink and throw yourself here and don't eat the right thing and just eat crackers and some juice or something,
You sure
have nothing there, right?
So for the men, although we're not staying there, but
Yes.
would it be the same term, atrophy? Will that be the
No,
same thing
no,
for them?
no,
Or
no,
will it be a
no,
different
no,
thing?
no,
Okay,
no,
no problem.
no.
So let's
No.
go ahead. Right. So night sweats.
Night sweat, sleeping problem, irritability, your mood swings, you putting weight on, yes? Your hair is thinning, your skin is dry. You know, I'm going to say hair thinning. A lot of people lose their hair and they say, why am I losing my hair? Because no estrogen. Since I reached menopause, I don't have any hair under my arm.
But I never had any hair under my arm period, so I know for sure it can be estrogen.
It can't be,
because my-
but
I don't know, but
So,
it's crazy. Since,
that's right.
I cried. When I was growing up, well, they taught you in school that you're supposed to have, you would have
Hair,
hair.
pubic hair,
Pubic
under-
hair.
yes,
And
yes.
I've been looking for my pubic hair, at least those on, well,
Yes,
the underarm,
under
the
the arm.
underarm hair.
Yes.
I looked for that thing for years. I'm still looking for it.
And it's not coming.
It's just never
Yes.
come. Well, I don't think it's estrogen. That
No,
one.
that's something
that's-
else. Some
that one's
other, you
something.
missing maybe a gene. Yeah.
But I'm missing
me,
something and I pass it on to the girls.
Yeah.
Because they don't have it.
Yes, so genetic.
Okay.
So
There we
it's
go.
genetic.
So,
So since I reached menopause,
Uh-huh.
perimenopause, no hair under my arm. So that's good.
so
because
it
it's
just,
sweating.
it just disappeared.
I don't know what happened. I just don't have hair under my arm. Very little. You could, okay?
Okay.
Dry skin, okay,
Mm-hmm.
loss of breast fullness. At that time, all your breasts get flabby, yes, because you're losing that
But the baby-
elasticity.
But babies already saw the fullness of your
But
breast.
you still
if
have
you had-
estrogen.
Oh.
That after,
my God.
yes, you still have estrogen that cause the fullness and give it. You understand? You understand?
And I don't find you helping us here, man. I think this whole thing, I mean, we start the program already, so we have to continue, but this is like you're just going downhill. It's
No, not really.
look like
Not really.
downhill
That's the
from
facts
there.
of life. And if you understand the fact of life, you will understand what menopause is and what it does to your body. And that's why some women cannot take it. They lose the work, they can't go to the job, they are slow, and they can't work as fast as they are because they lost the energy, they don't have this estrogen to pump them up, and it's a lot of problem that we need to face. And a lot of people don't face it. And if you're working and your man, your boss is a man, and you
man.
tell him, you don't speak about menopause on your job. You're ashamed to
True.
speak of your menopause. You don't want nobody to know. You have signs and symptoms, hot flashes. You're there, you're afraid to tell them to put the air conditioner on. And you suffer.
right.
Yes?
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Decrease the libido, as we said, right? Yes. Trouble concentrating. You're having fast heart rate. You have osteoporosis. You have depression. We're going to explain what
Yes,
osteoporosis
each one.
is.
Yes.
You have back pain, brittle bones. You have back pain and brittle bones because of osteoporosis.
Yeah.
You don't have estrogen. What happened? The bone cannot make the substance. So the function of estrogen is very, very important in our body.
So but we can take that, not so. Some
Yeah, we
people-
can take that. That's why we have it as a supplement.
Yes.
And some people having all this, they take. But sometimes the supplement is more dangerous than the side effects.
How? Okay.
Sometimes some of them could cause cancer.
Oh Lord.
So you have to, you weigh your chances. You know about the symptoms, you can deal with it.
Yeah.
Yes?
Oh my word. Yeah. Okay.
Right. UTI, urinary tract infection.
infections,
You
right.
get that, you get itching. And I came the saggy breast, right? Right. As science continue to understand menopause, it is stated that the brain and menopause has direct correlation. The brain and your menopause, direct correlation.
And not necessarily your uterus,
No,
as we had
no,
mentioned
your
last month.
brain and your ovaries. Before it is thought the symptoms comes from the ovaries. Now it is said that the brain and estrogen works together controlling menopause.
Okay, we'll wrap our mind around
We'll
that.
wrap our mind around
yeah,
that.
definitely.
Okay.
And let's take a break. And when we come back,
Okay.
of course, I would like to I would like you to go back into explaining particularly decreased libido and the osteoporosis and so in
Okay,
particular, because
okay.
I mean, we've heard the term. I know a lot of people hear the
Okay.
term. And
Yes.
being able to ensure that we really grasp what it really means and of course the implications of it. I think that is important.
Okay,
So
okay.
let's take a break, viewers and listeners, and we will be right back.
You are my strength, strength like no other.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Thinking about your new home? Think easy. Think a Republic Bank Home Easy Loan. Think affordable. Think convenience. Think Republic.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3. Republic makes home easy.
Wow, that was such a breeze.
Own your home with ease.
So whether laying that first brick or purchasing an existing home, we've got you covered. Republic Bank will get you those keys hassle-free in no time.
Home is easy as 1, 2, 3.
Drop by any one of our 8 locations today. Getting your new home is easy with Republic Bank.
Republic Bank. We're the one for you.
You are my strength, strength like no other.
Well, we are right back. Thank you very much for staying with us, and for those of you who may just have joined us, well, of course, thank you for joining us for the CCG Hour. We are just grateful to have Ann Hopkins here with us for another month, again, from the Patient Kidney Foundation, but we're not dealing with kidneys today. We continue to deal with another aspect of our health, women's health in particular, but it doesn't mean that it's affecting women alone. That's another misconception that we have, that once we're talking menopause, we're only going to be talking about what is affecting women and how it affects women. But of course not, because everyone in the family is affected by everything that happens to, to each other. So, and we continue to talk about what we did before the break was we started to look at the symptoms of menopause. We made, we just, we didn't discuss it fully. We just made, itemize it.
Itemize it, yes.
So now if we can, just do a little more detail on it.
Detailed,
Yeah.
and we are going to say what there is and what the
Yeah.
function are and what
Correct.
causes them to occur.
Correct. Let's go there.
When we associated menopause with ovaries, when women say they are having hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia, memory lapse, depression, anxiety, these symptoms does not start in the ovaries. They start in the brain. They are neurological symptoms. And by neurological, I mean relating to the function and organic matter of the nervous system, like dementia affecting memory and thinking. So dementia is brain linked because of its hormone. It's brain linked. So on dementia, because it's brain linked, a lot of women during their menopausal stage, premenopausal and menopausal, do have dementia, a form of
With the
Alzheimer's.
mental- yeah.
And they have image of the brains which look at a person that is before they start in the premenopausal stage. The brain was without plaque. Plaque, I mean like fatty tissue, like very thick, hard material. And after menopause, during perimenopause and menopause, they see this plaque is forming, is getting thicker and thicker, and this person having more dementia in the brain. So you see, it's directly linked to the brain,
So it's coming as a result of the lack of estrogen?
lack of estrogen. dementia, and Alzheimer's is linked.
Okay, but then, okay, so in the case of females, it is the estrogen,
Yes.
but then we have
Well, I did not
dementia in
study
men.
the male. I did not study the male.
Right, because something
Yes,
causes it for
yes,
them as well.
Something causes it for them as well. When
Okay,
we
so
study
you
the
look
male
at that,
part,
yeah.
because I don't want to give the wrong information. I could tell you what it is, but I want to be certain before I say
definitely,
that.
definitely.
Okay?
Oh my word.
Right. Why is our brain impacted by menopause? Why is our brain impacted? Why is not our ovaries and other things? Yeah? Our brain and ovaries are part of the neuroendocrine system. So our brain and our ovaries are part of the neuroendocrine system. That means the interaction between the nervous system and the endocrine system, how the brain regulates the hormones in the body. So it's how the brain regulates the hormone in the body.
That is the...
That's the key to menopause. Because if your estrogen is not regulated from your brain, all other functions,
Is going to be affected
especially in menopause.
Oh my word.
The brain talk to the ovary, and the ovaries talk to the brain in return. As I'm talking to you, and you're asking me question, the brain asking me question, and I'm feeding back the brain. The health of the ovaries is linked to the health of the brain. The health of the ovary is linked to the health of the brain. Estrogen are not only involved in reproduction, but also involved in the brain function. So you see how the uterus, the ovaries, and the brain link?
But you see, but we
Estrogen-
tend to look at it as just a reproductive, what is your reproductive
Yes.
organ? Almost like if it is separated
It's
from
not
the fun-
separated. It's endocrine reproductive system. Okay? And the cellular level, the brain usually pushes the neurons, which contains, you have neurons in the heart, neurons in the lungs, I'll say that down to age faster. When your estrogen is decreasing, you age faster. You see you're plump and you're juicy, your breast is up, you're 30, 40. You understand? Every man see you there. But since you start sagging a bit, nobody wants to look at you because, think you're out. Yeah? Okay. This period can lead to the formation of amyloid plaque. The decrease in the estrogen can lead to amyloid plaque, or Alzheimer's plaque, which is the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease. That plaque in the brain, which is caused by decreased estrogen, are linked with Alzheimer's. So that's why you see out of 6 million people, 3/3 of women have Alzheimer's.
But
That's why in the olden days, what do they do?
Going back to the history now. So that is
Yes.
why they would say that the person is crazy.
Crazy, mad. Because when you have Alzheimer's, what you do? You take your feces and you put it on the wall. You take your food, you throw it away, and you said you have never eaten for days. You have your purse, your money in the purse. You say it's right there. You don't know where you put it, you hide it, and you say it's stolen.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't that a sign of craziness?
Well, yeah.
But the person is not. The person has a problem with decreased estrogen and the plaque formation in the brain. You know when you have plaque on your teeth?
Yeah, yeah. You don't want that for sure. And then, of course, we have to get our teeth clean and all of
That's
that. But
right.
you can't go and get the brain clean. So where would foods come into that? I'm thinking that our food.
There are a lot of food
definitely
have estrogen.
Yeah,
Have to research that. There's a lot of food that we have estrogen.
yeah, has to
Yes.
be.
Yes, there are a lot of food we have estrogen.
Okay, so
yes.
we will look at that at another
Individual in menopause at time complain of having hot flashes. Listen, this is due to the fact that the non-activation, it occurs in the brain in the hypothalamus level in the brain. The hot flashes, because the hypothalamus is correctly related to temperature.
Really?
Yes. So when you have hot flashes, that coming from the brain, that hot flashes,
Are you serious?
because the hypothalamus gland in the brain is in charge of regulating body temperature. So you think my body is hot. Where is it coming from? Coming from the brain. Because the brain cannot regulate because estrogen,
Is lacking. Wow.
okay?
That is
You have
amazing.
sleeping problem. In your brain stem. Where is your brain stem? At the base
the
of your
base of-
brain. At the base of the brain. In the cerebellum. Well, let me don't go there. Hemisphere. The brain stem is in charge of wake and sleep. Estrogen doesn't activate the brain stem correctly. We have trouble sleeping. When it's low, the brain stem, it does not activate. You don't have any estrogen to activate, to stimulate. Neurotransmitter going from one end, and estrogen is like a neurotransmitter which tell the brains what to do.
But why this thing have to go down? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. Most of the viewers and so is like, God,
Well,
why?
We have
What is that?
God made
I mean,
our
it's
body.
life,
We
you
have
know,
our
it is
body.
just
That's
inevitable,
life.
but
This
wow.
is a passion of life. They said that when you're born crying, but when you die groaning.
You die. Okay. Was it okay? Well,
When you're born,
groaning. Yeah.
But when you die, when you groan, I groan sometimes.
Well, yeah, they tell me I groan a lot when I'm sleeping. I don't know what maybe I'm groaning from
I
pain.
groan
I
for
have no
everything.
idea.
Okay?
My,
Yes? It seems that woman brain in midlife is more sensitive to hormonal changes than just chronologically. Not the chronological because you are, but it's more sensitive to your hormonal changes. It as that time we feel our mind is playing tricks on us. We don't know where we put something, We don't know what we're doing.
and
But
that
time
particular one
is the
there.
transmission from menopause to
Post. Or is it?
from menstruation to menopause.
Well, that is what I was about to
Yes,
ask, because
yes,
a lot of
yes.
people will, when I say people, a lot of women in particular,
Yes.
we forget.
We forget.
And it's
Yes.
not because you're so busy. And it's not because you have so many
With your
things to do.
estrogen, when you reach a certain age, 30, 35, your
It
estrogen
begins
starts
to go down.
go ebb. It starts to ebb. So because it cannot now stimulate the hypothalamus gland. It cannot stimulate the brain stem. So therefore, it ebbs, and then you get all those problems. Vaginal dryness and atrophy. We speak about atrophy
Yes, we
before.
did.
Usual result from the same low estrogen. Estrogen is the hormone that keeps the lining of the vagina lubricated, thick, and elastic. So when this atrophy comes in, the elasticity is gone, the thickness is gone, it gets very thin. And when you're having sex, the arousal is not there to lubricate.
So then people, so when we're talking about, sexual intercourse or,
Yes,
or
yeah,
intimacy,
yeah.
for women who are in the, in
Yes,
menopause,
yes.
then we will also have to consider using artificial lubricants and all of that.
There are vaginal lubricant that you use. It's in the market over the counter.
I don't think we don't talk
About those
about
things.
these
We
things
suffer.
openly.
We suffer.
So you have wives, and I'm sure that we have a lot, maybe I think that our audience have a lot of, persons who come in the category of menopause. I believe based on the kind of response we've been getting, we have a lot of very adult viewers and listeners. And you very might be suffering out there because no one is talking to you the way we are at this point. Maybe if you need more information, you might say, you know what, I'll go to my doctor, but you might keep putting this off and putting it off and saying, you know what, yeah, maybe I could go to the doctor, but I'm female and the doctor is male, and you know what, I don't want to talk to the doctor about this. And that's honest, that is the truth. We try to stay away from things that we maybe not feeling too comfortable with, but I really do believe that this is information, and please share it with your husband. If it is that you're a woman and you're listening to this, share it, because a lot of the times men, I believe, are having
Problems.
hard times, a lot of,
Yes.
yeah, hard time
Because
with
they
their
themselves
wives.
do not understand.
What is happening, exactly.
She getting old, she's getting, so that's why they say the men have the 7 years each or whatsoever.
The
As
7
soon-
years
each? Yeah. As
No,
soon
I
as
didn't
as soon as the wife reaches a certain age, the wife cannot function because he don't understand, she don't understand the signs and symptoms of menopause, and then it bring argument because we're going to get through that.
Okay.
Okay?
All
You have
right, go
urinary problem. Because estrogen, what I said, it keeps lubricated, it keeps your uterus suspended in your muscles, and that's what keep it going because you have elasticity. It's like the foundation of a house then.
Oh my Lord.
Everything is sitting on that house, and everything depends on that house. Now, if sand comes and dig into that foundation, what happens?
Well,
The house becomes
for-
shaky.
yeah. Oh my God.
And the house may fall. If it's, you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Yes,
it. Oh,
yes,
gosh.
yes. So you leak. You call you are leaking. You want to go to the bathroom and oh my gosh, I wet myself. You can't even run to the bathroom in time. That happens to
during
people.
I thought that was just old
It happens
age.
to me sometime.
Well, yeah,
When
so
I want
then
to
they
go to the bathroom, I have to run quickly. I have to empty my bladder very quickly. And sometime in the future, I may have to weigh.
depends.
Depends.
Well,
That's a part of life.
but okay, you would think that adult disposable diapers are for people who are old, really old, because you
And in
clearly not
bed.
old. Yeah, and in
People.
bed. Yeah,
No.
yeah, but you see, your age
No.
don't have anything to do with your behavior, so we leave your age off. No, but seriously.
When
you-
I go out, I
you
might
can't-
in future, very near future, have to wear a little depend. They have panty shield or
Yeah,
something.
and all of that,
I may have
yeah.
to do that. I don't want to be embarrassed when you get up. Oh God, she wet herself.
And then, so it just you cannot control it.
You can't control it. Leaking is different to incontinency.
Okay, well, yeah.
Incontinency, you cannot hold it at all. But leaking, you can hold it and it just drip, drip, drip. Sometimes when you want to go to the bathroom, I get up in bed at night before I went to the bathroom. I'm start leaking. It's a fact of life.
You see, but that is the thing, because you don't want to think of, being in bed with your husband or your wife and somebody is leaking. Okay, let's take a quick break again. Well, it sounds like again, but we've been chatting for for quite a while. So let's take a break and we'll tie up these symptoms. Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay.
You are my strength, strength like no other. You are my strength, strength like no other.
And we are back. Well, thank you again for staying with us. I know that the information is so, I am blown. And it's not, some of them, it's not that I have never heard the terms before, but it's just getting the real deal on it now. It makes you so much more, it just opens up your mind completely. These perspective, I mean, it's just blowing my mind. So let's go right ahead with where we left off. So
and this leakage, we're talking about urinary leakage. It is called urinary urgency. You have an urge to go.
Yeah.
And before you go, so you can say urgency. You have urgency. Urinary urgency. And
so that's regardless of whether or not you have a lot of water. Because if you drink a lot of water, you would tend to want to
yes,
go.
Yes,
But
yes,
even
yes.
if you don't
But
have a
normally
lot,
your bladder could hold it. No matter
right.
if you drink a lot of water, your bladder don't hold it. You don't have to go to the bathroom, you could hold it. But
Yeah.
when you start leaking, you may be walking and start leaking because you don't have the muscle there to keep the mouth of the bladder closed. Because the estrogen has decreased
not
and that's
there.
why it's not there. So everything is just
That's it,
slops.
just- oh my God.
Because you have yeast. And yeast rises the bread, eh? Yeast rises the bread. If you don't have yeast,
Yeah.
so if you don't have the estrogen, it cannot hold anything. What do you put to bind? When you cook it, you have something very soft and you need to bind it. Cornstarch, right?
Yeah.
It binds things. You don't have any taste.
Yeah.
Okay? And you don't have that. What happens?
Yeah, it's just flat.
It just flat. Okay? And we come to osteoporosis. What is osteoporosis? Bone is a living, growing tissue that changes throughout the lifespan. Osteoporosis is a bone disease that occurs when the body loses too much bones. It makes too little bone, a bone that is due to decreased production because of estrogen. Estrogen causes the production of bones. So when you does not have estrogen causes the accumulation of bones. Estrogen is the one, that hormones that that encourage the bone to make the bone marrow, to make the substance of the bones. When you do not have, no, you have flour and kneading, and you don't have water, you could make bread?
Well, clearly not. You just,
Right. So you don't have estrogen to encourage the bone marrow to make more bone marrow. What happens? It becomes brittle and it breaks. This is what osteoporosis is all about, the brittle bones.
But I thought that osteoporosis was mainly based on some maybe lack of calcium.
Lack of calcium. Why? Because estrogen is not there also to help the formation.
Or with the same, okay. Oh my goodness.
So that's the building block of your life. Okay? Now, that's a big one. Depression. We saw so many people is depressed during the menopausal stage. And you don't think. I have experience with people is going through the menopause, and you may have experience with that too. Going through the menopausal stage and they're very depressed. They can't get off depression. They have to be hospitalized in a mental hospital with depression because of, and this is lack of estrogen also.
Did it, for the depression with menopause though, or maybe even premenopause, because I suppose you can have it, but maybe at lower, not as severe. Would it just come on? You know what I mean? Is it
No,
that
no.
you're just there
It's
and
not
you just
insidious.
feel?
It's not
Right.
insidious. It starts way back. And you don't notice the signs and symptoms until it gets very,
Oh, okay.
okay? They said here, as a woman approaches menopause, the estrogen levels began to drop off. Estrogen plays an integral part in regulating brain function.
Come back to the brain
And
again.
if your brain function is not regulated, what happens? Your neurotransmitter, as I'm saying, does not influence your brain to produce,
What, right.
so therefore you get mood swings. So you have your mood swings, your husband come, you want to kick him off. Your this come, your friend wants to bite your head off. Your estrogen level, your neurotransmitter is not functioning. It's not getting through to your brain because there is no estrogen to well, keep her calm,
Oh my
you know. So you become depressed.
But so what about people who, because you have some people, my goodness, they know we're close to being in menopause. And my goodness, they just irritable. Like you meet some people like that.
They just have bad habits. They just have bad habits. And people with bad habits,
Well, I
when
think
you see
they'll
they
be
reach
worse.
menopause, they become worse.
I was just about,
It's become worse. You know people are grumpy from the time you meet them.
Yes.
And they get grumpier. You understand people who is calm and nice, oh gosh, she died with a smile. She died so nice. She was always calm.
died-
But you don't see her face when she died?
She die vex. Some people.
So your life, the way you live your life, the calmness, the have a way you get old. Has a way that you mature. I've known in my life, I was growing up and older people, senior citizens, they were grumpy from the time I realized that my mother will say something, say, don't worry, she always grumpy since I know. And that's in my mother's time. Now I meet her there because she's senior, old enough. She's more grumpy. So it's your lifetime. And it's your life, how you live your life and how you look at life.
Yeah.
You may give me that cup and I say it's half filled, and you may tell me it's half empty.
Yeah, it's how we choose to view it.
It's still half, but you telling me it's half empty. And I'll tell you it's half full. It's the positive. Life.
But you mentioned that for some people, if they're depressed, well, if it's really bad,
Yeah, but-
that they can end up being hospitalized.
Always, most of the time. It gets so severe. Depression can turn into suicidal.
Yeah, I know it does.
Depression
because I'm
can
saying,
turn
and
into
as a result
suicidal.
of the same menopause.
No, because you have young people that is depressed. Drugs, you could be on drugs.
Oh, you mean, yeah, no, I know that there are different causes of it.
Yes, but in the menopausal age, most of the time, if you don't have a family history of mental illness,
Right.
you don't have a family history of living with mental illness, please don't say the person is mentally ill. Please don't say the person is crazy. The person is living with mental illness.
Interesting.
Don't say the person is disabled. The person is living with a disability. Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
so you find that
The language makes a difference.
the language makes a difference. Okay? So this is very important for your mood swing. So the husband have to understand, my wife is menopausal. Her estrogen level is not there. So therefore, what can I do to help her? What can I do? So if the wife don't know and the husband don't know,
Yeah, well, it's fighting in house.
chaotic. Chaotic. Okay?
But I mean, who goes? I don't think people sit and I don't know, discuss these, what we're doing here. I don't believe that. Certainly our society does not, I think we established that last month. We certainly don't have anything that already dealing, like not even a support group. Like you
don't
have
have.
the Kidney Foundation for the
Ye-
people with
yes,
kidneys.
yes.
But maybe we're not, you have there obviously, more persons going through all of these symptoms of menopause than there are people with kidney disease.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
So and it's
Thousand.
not to say that kidney disease, it's not important to
Yeah,
attend to.
yeah,
But
yeah.
we take things like menopause for granted. We don't even bother with it. And then of course we
People
have
getting
this
sicker and
underlying
sicker
problem.
and sicker
Yeah.
and sicker. Okay? They're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. They have dry skin. They have itchy skin. You know, it's difficult. So maybe we should find ourselves building the society of menopause. Have an organization.
And all because of the estrogen, your hormonal changes.
Yes, yes.
Oh my.
Yes, all because of estrogen. And this is why, we can leave the next one, and this is why men have to know what the signs and symptoms are. They have to be acquainted with it. They have to be acquainted. You married a nice wife, very calm, very polite, and then all of a sudden, she become all witch.
Oh gosh. But yeah,
Don't you understand something is wrong?
But
He will say-
you
say
say that,
about
but
it.
it is the truth. Because you say the whole witch, but it's like some people call them all strange names.
Of course.
Dingbat and
Or have a witch at home.
Have a
I'm
witch
not
at
going
home.
home.
Oh
Have
my
a witch
God.
at home. She's not a witch. She's just going through decreasing her estrogen level. She can't have sex because the vagina is dry, it's painful, it's itching. And when you have sex and you're too rough and the wall is thin, remember? It breaks, it bleeds.
Uh-huh.
And we say, me, I can't worry with her, you know. She's not even doing what she's supposed to do as she did before. Do you recognize why as a husband?
Okay. Well, definitely you've left me again like you did last month. Not in shock, but certainly at a point of, So we will be continuing with this, God's will, next month.
We'll continue with more of the
Yeah. But without a doubt, we will have to speak to our men. We can't force the men to, to listen or to even, maybe view a program like this. But I think we really definitely need to look into getting men more aware of this, because I mean it sounded a little bit humorous the way you said it. You have a witch at home and not going, but really and truly,
and they do say that.
Yes, and and the woman get disagreeable and a lot of other terms like that. But the truth
wetted
is,
herself all the time.
Without a doubt, I know for sure that I'm 44, so I suppose I'm not looking bad now, but
you're perimenopausal.
I'm most likely I am. Oh gosh,
Yes.
I believe I certainly am. I'm for sure I'm not menopausal, but
Yes.
I'm definitely going down.
Yes,
and
yes,
and
you are
there's
not going
so-
down. Don't degrade yourself to going down.
No,
You're reaching
well,
a
I meant
stage
I'm
where you
going-
are reaching your climax.
Okay, thank you for the correction.
Yes.
So, but and I'm sure that a lot of women who are my age, you're beginning to feel differently. And there is one woman I know. I married her. She was in her late 40s when they got married. Of course, they had children before and all of that. But she got married maybe in her late 40s. And then maybe about 3 or 4 years after the marriage, she was saying to me, man, Pastor, I don't feel for this thing no more. And it's like, and he don't understand. And I'm like, I said, did you all begin to talk? Of course, that's one different program.
But how
Maybe
they
we
can talk
need-
when they don't understand what's happening in their lives?
That's the point. That's the
What
point.
well, go
Yeah,
on
but
now,
all
go on.
she
You
said-
don't want to give me nothing.
Yep.
You have another woman somewhere. Go on, go on.
Yep. And actually, that was the attitude. She was like,
Of
I can't be
course.
bothered, man. He may be done. And she honestly was accusing him of a lot of stuff, and which
That's
I
right.
don't believe it
Accusations
was.
flies.
Yeah, back and forth.
That's why I have a part. How does menopause affect your husband?
Your husband, yeah. So we'll definitely do that one for you next month, God's will. All right, we out of time. Thanks again for coming. Viewers and listeners, thanks again for being with us. We are going to continue this topic because we are far from over, and I'm going to take up Anne on the challenge. I think we can all do that if we come together and have the type of forum that will be able to get people asking questions, getting information, because this information is worth getting. It's worth getting. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. This is the CCG Hour, of course, and we are going to be with you, of course, next week, please God, but next month with Anne and continuing this topic that we started. God bless you.
God
Thanks
bless you.
again
And
for
it's a
coming.
pleasure.
All right. Blessings.
You are my